In today's video, I'm going to show you how I stack all my cabinet parts, meaning all the parts for my boxes and the stretchers that need to be painted, and stack them in a way where I can paint everything before I assemble all the carcasses of the cabinet boxes. So this way, later on, once I put everything together, I don't have to worry about spraying them and masking off the insides and worrying about getting paint on the inside finish. All right, guys, let's get started on this. I'll show you how I do it. It's very simple. Okay, so for this vanity build, I need to spray all my edge banding first because I'm using Gallery Series and I'm using General Finishes White Undercoat as the primer on this. I have pre-finished maple plywood for the boxes, and these are all parts of the boxes. I have more over there that I have to stack up. And you can see here I have all the edge banding face out with the pre-finished side facing downward. What I'm going to do is I'm going to spray everything stacked. This way I can spray all the edge banding without having to put the boxes together first and then mask everything off on the inside and then spray it and hope I don't get any overspray on the inside and have to clean that later. I've done that in the past. It's a little bit of a pain. If this was a white vanity, then I can just use 1mm white PVC edge banding and that would match. There's no matching edge banding on this. The gray that we're going to use is a web gray, I believe. It was a Sherwin Williams color, and nothing really came close enough for me to put a gray PVC edge banding on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray it with the primer first, and then I'm going to spray it after it's dry. I'll spray it with the 2 coats of the Gallery Series of the color I'm using for the actual entire vanity. Now this is going to be built in between 2 walls in this bathroom, so you're never going to see the sides of the boxes. Okay, so what I'm doing to spray everything and not worry about getting any overspray is I'm taking all my parts, and you can see this is the pre-finished side. See the UV coating on there? I'm going to take that, I'm turn it over. I have the edge banding facing me, and I'm going to have that facing downward, just like this. And I'm stacking it exactly right on top of the other pieces, and I'm getting everything completely flush so that everything is together. This way, not only will I minimize the chances of overspray getting underneath on the face, everything will be covered uniformly. We want all the finish to be the same on all the pieces. So what I'm going to do here is, these are the smaller parts. I started with the really small parts and I worked my way up to the bigger parts. And so I'm going to put a couple of fillers in here of the same material so that it sits under and keeps everything flush. And so basically I'm just going to have some strips in here just like this. And what we're going to do is I have everything labeled. So not only do I have writing on the back of each piece, but I have little sticky notes on the fronts. But I'm not worried about, like I said, getting any of the paint or primer on the back side of these pieces because of the fact that they're going to be completely closed in between the other cabinets and also the walls on the sides. So keeping everything flush like this, and then the weight of all the other pieces is going to push down and sandwich everything together. And so these edges are rounded over just slightly. They're just slightly broken, you know, with sandpaper after I did the edge banding, and it holds an edge of paint or a finish much better than a straight edge does. There's a completely straight edge without being broken doesn't hold paint at all. It just flakes right off. So always make sure you break your edges. So each one of these pieces is going to sit completely flush on top of the other. And the weight of each piece that goes on top of the previous one will squash everything down more and more, because the more weight that I put on is the more weight that's going to press down from the top. Because what we definitely want to do is try to minimize any overspray getting in between and getting underneath. I'm actually going to also put another piece here to block off this part right here from getting any overspray bouncing up and going underneath. Now also what I've seen people do in the past, obviously this is not a technique that I invented. This has been around for years. Cabinet makers and professional finishers have been doing this forever. It's just a quick way to get the edge banding all painted at the same time, nice and even. Some people, they feel more comfortable taping each section together. You can take 2 or 3 pieces in a section and tape them down, but I don't feel that's necessary because unless you're gonna stack this in one spot and then move it somewhere else, it's not gonna move as you put it down. So what I'm trying to say is basically, had I been getting ready to paint this and putting it on a stack like this in the other side of the shop and then having to move it over here, then I would tape the pieces together, because in transport, rolling it over here, things can move. I don't have that problem because I'm spraying it right in this area. After I stack it, nothing's gonna move. I could save a step in putting tape on it. Okay, finally, here's my last piece. This is gonna be a big vanity, so it has a lot of parts. I wanna get it all done at one time. So there you go. Everything is flush. I could put a little bit of weight on there because you see this one has a little bit of a bow in it. Some overspray may get into that little spot right there. So what I'll do is I'll just put a heavy block of wood or something that has a little weight right on the top there. This way I hold it down and it sandwiches it down, keeps it closed. So for the primer, I really like General Finishes White Undercoat. It sprays really nice, doesn't give me any drip marks, and it just get a really nice finish for it. I've used it on all my projects that I've painted for I don't know how many years now, about 4 years I've been using this. This is not sponsored, it's just something that I like to use. Gallery series I started using for colors about a year ago, and I was spraying everything with HVLP and airless, and today I'm gonna be using this 3M Accuspray gun. I'm gonna try to go back to spraying with a compressor. So I wanna see how it atomizes and if it gives me a more than achievable perfect fine finish. I'm getting really good results with airless and HVLP, but I see so many other shops and professional finishers that do just finishing. Now, I do all my own finishing, but professional finishers that just do finishing, they tend to, when they're spraying in the shop, they tend to gravitate more towards the air compressor style HVLP. So I want to try that and see how much better it's going to be for me. Now with the PPS system on the Accuspray, it's very easy to clean up, so that's why I'm trying that out, because you basically have all these replaceable tips and the needle stays in the gun and you only have to clean the tip and then wipe off the needle, and these are detachable tips, so it's really beneficial to me since I don't have any water in the shop. I have to bring in like buckets of water and bottles of water to pour through the system to usually spray it out, to clean it, to spray clear water through, and it's just time consuming. These are really handy. I'm gonna also link these in the description box. We'll check these out. These are about 20 bucks a piece. I have about 4 of them. I use 2 of them. One is specific I use for the white undercoats. I use one of them for the different colored paints, and I use another set of them for clear polys and lacquers. I don't like to mix anything that touches paint with the clear coats, because sometimes you can get a little piece that comes loose. Maybe it stays inside the gun or inside of the cup or whatever, and you don't get it loose, and then it sprays out into the finish. And if you have a clear finish, you're gonna have some problems if you start seeing white specks in there. So this Enduro White Undercoat is ready to spray right out of the can. I really don't need that much, so I'm not gonna fill it up too crazy over here. And these, what's great about these is that you can just leave them on the can. So after you mix up your paint, after you stir it up with that, you basically just let the lid shut, it's spring loaded, and that's it. It keeps it in there, keeps it good, and it's all sealed up. Okay, so I'm gonna snap this on. This has a filter inside, so I don't need to strain the paint. And then we just take our lid and we're gonna secure it nice and tight. I wanna make sure that it's got a good seal. This way nothing leaks on it. And then the gun's just gonna, this is all new to me, so bear with me a second here. You put it in, and I think it's like a quarter turn to get it perfect. And I think that's it right there. That's tight. Okay, got my stuff ready, and gun goes upside down. It's a gravity-fed cup gun. We're looking good. I'm making sure that I don't have any leaks coming out of the container, and I don't. Now we're gonna regulate our pressure, and we're gonna start spraying. Okay, so I have the primer, 2 coats of primer sprayed on there, sanded it down lightly with 320, just in this position, just like that, blew off the dust with some compressed air. Now I have the Gallery Series web gray color in the gun, and I'm gonna spray that on here. Now you'll be able to see a little bit more of the spray pattern. So I'm just gonna turn this fan on with the filter. Now you might be picking up some of the fan noise from my microphone. The coverage is beautiful. Okay, so my coverage is phenomenal on just the first coat. So I'm definitely gonna do a second coat just because I do always 2 to 3 coats every time. But being that this is just the edge banding on the face of the frameless cabinets, and it's really not going to be getting touched much. We have the 2 coats of the primer, 2 coats of the Gallery Series, which is a self-sealing. It's basically an acrylic lacquer type of paint, and it's a finish and a paint all in one. So 2 coats of the White Undercoat and 2 coats of this should do it for this. When I do the doors and the drawer fronts, then I'm gonna do 3 coats on those, because those will be getting a lot of usage from people's hands. And you know, when you go to grab the pulls on there, you're gonna touch the doors and it's gonna get a lot of use. Plus, also I wanna make sure that because it's a bathroom, even though there's a vent in the bathroom and there's not much steam, because the vent that I put in there really sucks out the steam really well, I still don't want any moisture attacking this and penetrating the finish at all, possibly causing any kind of a warpage or failure later on. That's a big issue with vanity. So you always gotta make sure that you use a really good finish to seal it up. So I'm gonna definitely do a second coat. This is gonna dry in about an hour. It'll be ready to sand and recoat. I'm gonna feel it first, make sure that I need to do any sanding. I might not need to sand it at all. If it's smooth enough, then I'll just pass another coat. Really impressed with the gun. Really like the system going back to using the compressor. It's much quicker than using an HVLP. It's just as fast as using an airless sprayer, but it's so much easier to clean than an airless sprayer. An airless sprayer is kind of a pain in the butt. So less time cleaning, more time painting. It's always a plus. And honestly, now with this, all I have to do, squeeze the trigger, give it a couple of taps just like that. I unscrew the top from here, just like that. Right here, I'm gonna be using this, again, I still have a lot of material in it. I wasted almost no material. So what I'm gonna do is take one of these plugs. You can see I already did it over here with the White Undercoat. Take this plug, and first I'm gonna clean the rim of this and get any of the residual paint that's on the outside off. And then I'm gonna take the plug, I'll pop it in there. Now that's sealed and ready to go. So when I'm ready to do the doors and drawer fronts, boom, I just hook it up to the gun and I'm finished. Now the gun, normally you would be cleaning the entire gun on a normal system. But this one here, you just remove the tip or the nozzle, whatever you want to call it. And all you have to clean on this gun is the tip, which is great. So just take a rag, wipe off any residual paint that's on the needle, which it's now all gone. That gets put off to the side. The gun, clean. This, I'm gonna bring into the house and just run some water through it and it's done. And you know what? If you don't wanna go ahead and mess around cleaning these, you can just throw these in the garbage because they are disposable and they're not that expensive. Okay, so I've removed the bucket and all the material I had on top weighing this down. just want to flip one over because now I'm getting ready to assemble these. I just want to show you guys. Flip it over and you can see got a nice crisp painted edge. It's a beautiful finish and nothing here on the inside. There's no overspray that attacked my pre-finished inside of the maple. So now I'm ready to assemble these boxes and I don't have any extra work to do. But if you did, let's say that you didn't have it perfectly flush all together and you got a little bit of overspray on the inside. If you're using a waterborne finish like I was here in this case, which the Gallery series is waterborne, you can just use a really fine grit sanding sponge with a little bit of water and you can just basically rub that right off and any little bit of that water-based paint will just come right off because it doesn't stick to the pre-finished plywood. It will just rub right off. But more so than the painting itself, the main focus of the video today was showing you guys how to stack your cabinet parts before you assemble the boxes. This way you can spray all your edge banding if you're doing frameless. If you're doing face frames, then obviously you're going to make your face frames. You're going to spray them off to the side separately before you apply those to the face of your cabinets. Face frame is a whole different animal. These are frameless. I like doing the frameless. Everybody's requesting them now. I see a lot of guys out there still doing face frame cabinetry. In my opinion, I used to, there was a time and a place for it. I liked face frame cabinets back in the day, 80s, 90s. That's what the look was, and that's what I liked. And in the mid 90s, I was making cabinets with face frames and furniture with face frames. Maybe I would say about 10 years ago, I got into frameless, and I haven't really had any requests except for one about 4 years ago for bedroom built-ins where they wanted face frames. That was the last face frame job that I did. So other than that, I've done hundreds of these frameless cabinets. Everybody loves them. And you know what? I love them too because I really hated doing face frames. They so much more work. So, but all I have to do now is let this cure out, take the parts off and get ready to assemble the boxes and everything will be perfect. I don't have to worry about masking off the inside of the cabinets after they're done, which is a real pain because as soon as you do that, you start wasting time. This is the easiest, simplest, most efficient way to tackle this. Okay guys, that's it on how to stack paint all your cabinets and get everything done before you do assembly. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I tried to make it as quick as possible, but there's just so much information that I really want to pack into these videos and give you guys the most out of everything that I put out there. So definitely hit that subscribe button, hit the picture of a notification bell. It's going to notify you every time I upload a new video, pretty much on a weekly basis. We have a lot going on in the shop. I still have more shop projects to do. I have a lot of jobs to do, a lot of builds coming up. So definitely stay tuned and make sure that you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss it. And also, don't forget to check the description box below. That's going to have all the links to any tools or anything that I use that you see in the videos if you may need to purchase any of those. All right, everybody, thanks for joining me in the shop, and I'll see you next time.